You are listening to The Happy Gynecologist with your host, Amanda Miles, MD. Hello, friends. Welcome back to The Happy Gynecologist with me, Amanda Miles, MD. How are you? Hopefully doing well. Hopefully enjoying some fall weather. I don't know about you guys, but I am a sweater weather kind of gal. I love fall. I love it. So I hope you guys are maybe sipping on some coffee, cozied up in your sweaters today. And today we're going to talk about what used to be one of my most dreaded things, patient complaints, right? Some of you are already squirming in your seat thinking about this topic, probably. So what I want to offer you today is a way to start thinking about patient complaints that doesn't send you down this rabbit hole of crazy, terrible thoughts. I don't want you to go down this thought trail of, oh my gosh, this person wrote a negative review and she's going to tell all of her friends and all of her family and everybody at church that I'm terrible and I'm a bad doctor, and then I'm not going to have any patients left, and they're all going to find out how awful I am, and I'm not going to make any money, and then yada, yada, yada. Okay, on and on and on. I want to offer you this, okay, that a patient complaint is simply that patient's thoughts, okay? You're like, okay, yeah, you can say that all you want, Miles, but this patient complaint might ruin my life, okay? I get it. So let's break this down though, okay? Patients are allowed to have their own thoughts, right? Right? We can't ever control someone else's thoughts. We sure try sometimes, and that's called people pleasing. Any of you ever try to people please your patients? Try and make them happy so they won't leave a bad review, right? That's kind of how medicine is trending right now. I know that in the past, I've really tried to change what I'm doing to not upset people, or, spend extra effort to try not make them mad if I know they want something. What about if you know that they're going to be mad at you, like you aren't going to give them a refill of their high dose estrogen whenever they're 72 and have all these health problems, right? She's going to be upset, right? She loves her estrogen. Or maybe they're going to be mad at you because they really want this surgery, but you know that surgery isn't going to fix her problem. Or maybe she's not a good candidate for surgery. It's dangerous for her, right? Trying to do no harm. She's going to be mad. So do you tend to avoid these conversations? I know I did. Used to hate having these conversations. And then I would try and oversell my plan for them. So if I disagreed with a patient, I would over deliver, and spend a lot of extra time and energy and trying to get them unmad or trying to get them happy. But that never actually really worked, right? That was just kind of me trying to people please them and trying to make them happy with me, right? Because if they're happy with us, then we get to be happy with us, right? So if they're unhappy with us, what do? We are unhappy with us. We beat ourselves up. We feel shameful. We tend to tie our own self-worth to what other people say about us, right? We do this with our patient reviews. So we can also, on the other side of this though, do this when things are going well, right? So you get maybe a patient that comes in and gives you a thank you note and a gift, and then you feel super happy about yourself and I'm so proud of myself. I'm doing such a good job. Well, let me offer this. I think that you should feel that way. And I think that you should always feel that way because you are doing a good job. And one patient review or one complication does not change that you are rocking it out. You're an awesome doctor, and you're just killing it. Okay. So I want you to think about that you could feel that way all the time. Consider that. But how does this usually go, right? We get our printout of our patient review scores for the clinic, and you immediately go look through them and you see that one is terrible, right? Maybe you have a 1 star, would not recommend, right? And the comment with it is really mean. Maybe it's about how you're a terrible doctor that doesn't care about her patients. I know for me that I used to directly go from there and I would look up this patient in the EMR and try and figure out, oh my gosh, was it, a day I was really, behind? What did I say to her? Did I make her mad? And I would like go through all of this obsessing and kind of crazy person worrying about the encounter, what I could have done different, really beating myself up. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, I must have, really messed that up. And so when this happens, I would like to offer you that there's a different way you can deal with this. And this has really changed my life. So when this happens, I want you to pause and think about a few things. Number one, this review, like I said before, is a patient's thoughts. It's not a fact. It's not a circumstance. It is someone else's thoughts. You can't control that. Number two, I want you to start looking at this with curiosity. Okay. I want you to think about, is there anything true about this criticism? Okay. If there is, like, well, Dr. Miles ran 2 hours behind. Okay, well, maybe I did that day. Okay. That must really suck to have to sit there for 2 hours. I get it. Okay. But then also look at it with curiosity, and I want you to separate out what the patient said and what you then thought about that. Okay. Maybe even write that down. Really get it all out. Really get out all of the negative thoughts you had whenever you read that review. Because one line on a paper of a review did not cause all the drama in your brain. Okay. Most of the drama that comes from this is self-generated. Okay. So I want you to then kind of consider, are you also criticizing yourself in a similar fashion to how this patient's criticizing you? Do you find yourself judging yourself the same way frequently? Do you secretly have these thoughts of, oh my gosh, she's right. Someone knows I'm not a good doctor. Now they found out, kind of imposter syndrome type thoughts, right? I want you to get all of that negative stuff out, write it down, and then really look into whether you're judging yourself in a similar fashion. Because let me tell you this, whenever we are really hurt by criticism, it is usually because we believe that criticism to be true on some level deep inside. Okay. So maybe that's because you agree on some level deep inside, I'm a terrible doctor. All right. And we know you're not. You're an awesome doctor. You're rocking it. Okay. You've got this. But sometimes those thoughts are in there. Okay. So criticism only hurts us if we agree with it. Otherwise, we would just let it roll off our backs, right? So if someone comes to me and says, man, Miles, you suck at tying your shoes, I'm not going to respond like all hurt and sad and crazy like this, right? No, I'm going to be like, okay, whatever. I think I'm pretty good at it, but you can have your opinion. I can let you be wrong about me there, because I have the self-confidence to know that I know how to tie my shoes, and no one's going to make me second guess that because I know I can do it. But let's say, like I've been working with one of my partners, learning how to do colpochlesis, right? I didn't get to do very many of those in residency, so he's been teaching me. And let's say that I get to do one on my patient, and it takes a long time. And someone says, "Man, Miles, you suck at doing a colpochlesis." I am probably going to be much more hurt by this conversation because I, on some level, might agree with them. Okay, I am new at this, so I'm not good at it, right? My brain's going to go down that pathway of trying to find evidence to agree because I'm not confident in that surgical skill yet. Okay. So it's probably more likely for me to be hurt if I agree with that comment of, yeah, you're right. I'm not good at this yet. Okay. So on some level, we have to own what we're doing and know that we are good doctors and we are doing it right and we are rocking it out. Okay. So if someone says I suck at colpochlesis, I can choose to think of it as, this terrible, horrible thing that someone said, and oh my gosh, they're right, and they're going to tell everybody. Or I can choose to think of it as, yeah, we're all beginners whenever we're learning something, but I'm so happy I'm learning to master this skill so I can provide it to my patients in the future, right? So you can decide what the narrative is here. You don't have to go down the rabbit hole of brain drama. So same thing. If a patient says, that you're not a good doctor, you're a terrible doctor, doesn't care about their patients, then okay, well, maybe that patient was really struggling. Maybe I just wasn't the right fit for her. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Heck, some people don't even like tea, right? Hopefully she found a doctor that fit with her better. Okay. So some of these thoughts, some of these, this version of the story that we tell ourselves is much more compassionate towards ourselves, but also towards the patient. We're not automatically angry back, and we don't do this like self spiral into shame and questioning ourselves with it. We don't use it to beat ourselves up. Okay. So the last thing that I want to offer you is that when a patient writes a bad review or has negative comments, that is 100% about them. It is about her thoughts. It's about her life. Maybe she just got fired from her job and is having a really rough time. Maybe she's stressed to the max caring for an elderly, parent. Maybe she's really worried she's got cancer because she watched her mom die from ovarian cancer. Okay. I'm not trying to give you a sob story. I'm just saying that in any particular day, we can't even imagine what our patients are experiencing in their own brains. Okay. We don't know. Maybe that stress bubbled over for her. She wrote a comment like, "You're a terrible doctor." Okay. 1 star. I had an attending in residency that would say sometimes whenever a patient didn't want any of the options we had to offer, say, well, she might never be well. Okay. That's about her. That's her choice. She doesn't want to, be well. Some people are like that too. Some patients don't want to be helped. Maybe they just want to come in and know the options, but they don't want anything else past that. Okay. Maybe they just want to come in and know that they're not dying, know that it's not something that's harmful to their health and be done. Okay. Maybe they don't want treatment. So think of that as well. It's kind of a very Southern, like, bless her heart type thing, right? I don't know if you guys know about that in other parts of the world. Down here in Oklahoma, it's just kind of a saying, sometimes it's a little said with, demeaning tone, but it's real. We really do say, oh, bless her heart. Like she's doing her best, that kind of thing. So saying that whenever we think about our patients, but also about ourselves, bless our hearts too. Okay. We don't have to beat ourselves up whenever someone is having a rough day and they put it down on paper. Okay. We know it's not true. So the main thing is we don't ever know what other people are thinking, nor can we control that, even though we might try. So next time you get these reviews, practice this, okay? Practice knowing that this is just a patient's thought. Look at it with curiosity to see if it's landing hard because it's true, or maybe because you judge yourself too harshly in the same way, okay? Then decide what the real story is and be compassionate to yourself. Also practice letting others be wrong about you, okay? They can be wrong about you and it's okay. You can still be an awesome doctor, even if that person didn't get along with you, okay? Or you weren't the right fit. They didn't even like the tea, okay? So I hope this helps. Please go on over to my website, coach-miles.com. If you have any comments or you want to get in touch with me, I'm also on Instagram at CoachMilesMD. And I look forward to talking with you guys again next week. Also, if you guys have any ideas for future podcasts, please let me know. I'd love to hit on some topics that are bothering you or you want to help working through. So just let me know. And I hope to talk to you next week. All right. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me today on The Happy Gynecologist. If you have questions or comments, head on over to my website, coach-miles.com, or follow me on Instagram at CoachMilesMD. I'd also love it if you left me a review on iTunes. See you next week.